It's time to talk about the college football McGuffin.
Claret's up there as a wide out too. The ball goes into the end zone and it is incomplete. Intended for Gamble. Now there is a penalty flag thrown.
Hold on.
Hold the phone. Everybody comes running down on the field. You got to get off because there's a penalty flag thrown and I think it's against Miami.
So let's start from the top. What is the college football McGuffin? Well, in order to understand that, we have to go back to the very first game in college football history. November 6th, 1869, it's Rutgers versus Princeton in the very first college football game ever. Rutgers goes on to win the game 6-4, and the college football McGuffin was born, going to the winner, Rutgers. Rutgers would now hold the McGuffin until they were defeated, in which case the McGuffin would transfer to the team that beat them. And that's exactly what happened a week later when Rutgers and Princeton played again, this time Princeton winning 8-0 and taking the McGuffin back. The McGuffin keeps passing on like that from victor to victor all the way up to the modern day, where today Washington and Michigan play for the McGuffin, Washington being the current holders, in the national title game, which by the time this is uploaded, one of those two teams has won it, and they've won the national title and the McGuffin. To try and put it into other terms that your brain can wrap around a little better, the McGuffin serves as a sort of lineal championship in college football, or a title belt, where each victor gets it from the last person who held it, but you have to play the last person who held it. Funny enough, calling it the Elder Wand of college football is a way that some people have been able to grasp it as well. Something that's important to remember, though, is that the McGuffin is not real. Players don't celebrate winning the McGuffin, and most don't know that it exists, aside from maybe a few exceptions. The McGuffin isn't quite that big yet, and it's not a tangible object. But part of my journey in college football has been tracking the McGuffin from the very first game all the way to the present day, keeping stats about it, and spreading the good word of the McGuffin in videos like this to people who aren't quite aware of it yet, because I think it's something that really captures the spirit of college football. Just obscure things that fan bases could hold on to, because there's 135 of them at the FBS level, and not every single one can compete for a national title every year. Anyone can compete for the McGuffin. One of the first questions people ask me is, why is it called the McGuffin? Why not call it a lineal title or a title belt? Well, that's because I wanted it to be its own special, unique thing. And the term McGuffin comes from film, and it comes from famous director Alfred Hitchcock, who's known as one of the greatest and most influential directors of all time, and that's because he is. He made movies like Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, and The Man Who Knew Too Much, and even if you haven't seen most of those movies, you know the titles of those movies, and that's because they were largely influential in a lot of the films we see today. But to avoid getting too deep into film lore, he's the one that introduced the term McGuffin into film. And McGuffin in film is any object or device that exists merely as a trigger for the plot. And what makes something a McGuffin is the fact that it can be replaced with anything, and the plot largely stays the same. So some examples of some famous McGuffins in film include the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, the ring in Lord of the Rings, the Death Star plans in Star Wars, or the Holy Grail from Indiana Jones. Essentially, a McGuffin can be replaced with any object. In Indiana Jones, when they're going after the Holy Grail, you can replace it with any object. A holy idol, nuclear codes, a machine that helps you time travel, anything, and the plot largely stays the same. It's just circulating around the object. Even in this McGuffin's case, the powers that it possessed could literally be anything, and that's what makes a McGuffin a McGuffin. So in college football, the reason I've chose that same term is because it's a similar function of the college football McGuffin. It serves merely as a trigger for the plot of college football, and any object could represent the McGuffin. A belt, a trophy, a ring, something metaphorical that doesn't exist, and it still serves the same purpose no matter what. The meaning that it has is the meaning that you give to it. So now that you know what the McGuffin is and where the name comes from and all that good stuff, there is so much stuff to unpack with the McGuffin that I literally can't touch on it all in this video. But I'll go over some of the fun quirks and things that I think are amazing about the McGuffin. Like, for example, Queen Elizabeth only attended one college football game ever. It was in 1957. She went to the Maryland-North Carolina football game. Maryland went on to win the game 21-7, and just so happened to have the McGuffin in the only game that Queen Elizabeth ever went to, and she lived to be 90 whatever or 100 whatever. I can't remember her exact age, but That's pretty insane that one of the only games she went to was a game where the McGuffin was on the line. The longest streak in the AP era was the Miami Hurricanes from 2000 to 2002. They held the McGuffin for 31 straight games. So many iconic moments, including the one in 2000 against Florida State, where Florida State misses a kick as time expires. A super iconic result. That gave the McGuffin to Miami to start this 31 straight run they went on. And they fell victim to one of the most controversial plays in college football history to lose the McGuffin. It was against Ohio State in the national title game, where a pass interference call late ends their 31-game McGuffin streak. And I think the most eerie part of it all is their 31-game McGuffin streak was ended with a PI call on their defensive back wearing number 31. Now, if that's not McGuffin fate, I don't know what is. It's key quirks like that that make me feel in my heart of hearts that the McGuffin is something just a little bit more meaningful and more special than it initially lets on. And if you don't believe me yet, let's talk about another one. USC, they had the second longest streak of the AP era, a 25-game McGuffin streak starting in 2004 all the way up until 2006. They meet Texas in the national title game. And then another one of the most iconic plays in college football history, Vince Young on 4th and 5 runs to the corner of the end zone and scores the touchdown. And again, call it a stretch, but if you go back and you watch that clip, which I'm probably playing it right now, Vince Young starts his scramble to win the game with 25 seconds on the clock to end USC's 25-game McGuffin streak. Another coincidence that is just too perfect to be a coincidence, in my opinion. It's just some McGuffin magic. There are so many things associated with the McGuffin that I can talk about. It's literally limitless, and a lot of them have been brought by you guys, the fans, that have brought them up. There's some things that I can talk about, like the McGuffin Triple Crown, which is when a player wins a Heisman Trophy, ends the season with McGuffin, and wins the national title. Or the perfect McGuffin season. It's happened only 2 times in the AP era, where a team holds the McGuffin at the start of the season, goes undefeated, wins the national title, and ends with the McGuffin, which Washington actually can do today while I'm filming this video in the national title. By the time this goes out there, they've either done it or they haven't done it. So that'll be interesting to watch. Somebody introduced the reverse McGuffin, or at least told me the idea, and I decided to go calculate that. That one's crazy because that's the McGuffin, but instead of going to the winners of history, it starts with the loser and goes to the loser of every game in college football history. So the rabbit hole is deep, and it is near endless for the McGuffin and McGuffin stuff. And so if you've got any ideas or you made any connections, let me know down in the comments. I have a spreadsheet that's linked in the bio that has the complete history if that's something that you're interested in going to check. And that's one of the first things people want to look at. So I'll probably include that in the comments and down in the description as well. That way you guys can easily access that and go take a look at it, because I love it when you guys go in and make the takeaways and bring them back to me, and I learned something about the McGuffin that I never even knew.
On the line right here. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores.
Thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments what McGuffin topic you want me to cover next, or just general video topic, maybe if you're tired of hearing about the McGuffin. If you enjoyed this and you want more content, McGuffin or otherwise, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. We continue our march towards 1,000 subscribers, so I'm thinking we might be able to hit that. We had a nice little boost from the video we posted last week, so getting a little more consistent there. That's what we like to see. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week.